Former Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel predicting a big win for Democrats due to impeachment. The former Obama chief of staff saying that unlike the Clinton impeachment, voters this time will stand behind the party pushing to remove the president from office. In a Washington Post op-ed, he argues that impeachment could actually flip the Senate in Democrats' favor. Steve, what do you think? Is he right?
He's dreaming, and he's no more right here than he was when he's mayor of Chicago and couldn't turn the city around fiscally. And in terms of the election, David, it's going to not depend on impeachment. It's going to depend on how well Donald Trump presents an agenda for the second term. You already heard Larry Kudlow talk about Tax Cut 2.0. You're going to hear the president talk about health care starting in the State of the Union message. Have that thing that people can look forward to the second term. What are the Democrats offering? Even moderate Joe Biden wants to have tax increases twice the level of Hillary Clinton proposed in 2016. Big tax increases, unwinning issue.
I like that Steve is all of a sudden fiscally responsible, but he wouldn't say it to Larry at all. But that's for another topic. Listen, I'm not in predictive analysis. I think 40% of the country is voting Trump, 40% is voting the Democrat, irrespective of who it is. We have no idea who the 20% is. And to say that Rahm knows the outcome is when we don't even have a candidate, probably not the op-ed I would write. I would say that being said, I'll look at just kind of what's happened, right? The only things we've seen is the midterms, and we've seen 3 governorships. The Dems dominated the midterms, and they've won 2 of the 3 governorships in Kentucky and Louisiana in red states. So there's momentum there with respect to, I would say, health care has been their biggest kind of winning strategy. That being said, I would say it's too hard to assess what this impeachment will or will not be.
What will the impeachment do?
I think the independents, the polling I've seen suggests that the independents are not in favor of impeachment. They don't like the way this has gone down. I think that the Republicans did a good job of slamming the House process as being unfair and partisan. There's a lot of history here that suggests it should not be that. Look, it's a long way to the election, right? And Americans have a very short attention span. This will not be top of mind going into the election.
Yeah, that's the point, Liz. It's going to be months. I mean, we're looking at 8 months or so by the time this impeachment nonsense is done. And then Rahm saying, you know, I know Rahm very well, Steve, as you mentioned, from his doings or not doings in Chicago. It's like he thinks that's going to be impacting November stuff. I doubt it. It's not going to carry through. And also, don't forget, when voters go to the polls, when they go to the boxes, they're going to be thinking about their pocketbooks, their wallets, their home prices. And those are things that Trump has helped with respect to the aid he's given the economy. Kudlow talked about more tax cuts. That's what they're going to be voting on.
Steve, even Democrats. I talked to Dan Kildee from Flint, Michigan. He's a Democrat. He says, when I asked him how much his constituents care about the impeachment thing, he says they care about their jobs. They care about deer hunting more than they care about impeachment.
Well, they're concerned about real things for civilization, like the Super Bowl. Let's get something exciting, something real.
Yeah, no, I agree with Dan Kildee. I was with him in Washington recently. I mean, he is the swing state, right? Michigan. Absolutely. And so he oversees the Flint area. So I think what's important to him is going to be jobs and wages. And listen, one of the reasons I like former Vice President Biden is he talks about, you know, kitchen table issues. I think that's why a lot of people like President Trump.
But if it's jobs and wages, doesn't that mean Trump gets reelected?
Yeah, totally. And what we've seen, the Democrats out campaigning in Iowa, New Hampshire, they never are asked about impeachment. Never. I mean, they can get 500 questions, maybe one will have to do with impeachment. So even Democrats don't care.
They won't even address the record low unemployment rates, the history of job growth of over 175,000 per month. I mean, they won't even touch that stuff.
It's definitely an inside the Beltway
They also
story.
don't talk about the $1 trillion deficit that Steve brought up.
All right. They do talk about tax cuts, though, and they want more of them. Before we head to